Hi everyone. So it's been some time that I made a video. Actually, I've been busy shifting to a new place. I was trying to set up my new studio, but I didn't get time. And I'm really sorry about the echo as well. But let's talk about this Z Flip 3. So I've been using it for over 2 weeks now. So when I made my first impression video, I said I'm not really sure about this device, but now I can certainly say I don't really care about this device. No, actually there's nothing wrong with this device. There are some drawbacks, but nothing that makes this phone unusable. The reason I don't care about this phone is that once you get used to a folding phone, it feels normal. And in Z Flip 3 case, it feels effortful, especially when you're trying to talk to someone over chat and you need to keep opening and closing the phone. So the nostalgia of a flip phone is not really here. But let's talk about those two things that people are more concerned about this phone. The one is battery, another one is the durability. So if I talk about the battery life, it is below average for the current standard, and actually there's nothing hidden about it. So I've used this phone on 120Hz, 60Hz and power saving mode. So with 120Hz I usually get only 3 hours of screen on time and I have to charge it back 6 to 7 p.m. in the morning. And if I use 60Hz I get approximately 3.5 hours of screen on time and I need to charge it after 9 p.m. usually. And if I use it on power saving I can actually get through a day, but the problem is the notification will get delayed. Also the 15-watt charging is slow, and if you charge it with that slow speed the phone will still get warm. One day I let it charge overnight and when I woke up in the morning the phone was still warm. That usually does not happen with any other phone. And if I talk about the durability of the phone, I did not really care about that because I think I've been using this phone like a normal phone. I open and close this phone more than 100 times a day and I've been using it without a case, and so far there is no scratch at all on this phone. So I think the build quality is really good. I mean, yes, it's been only 2 weeks, but I think this phone is going to last. And also that free accidental insurance and liquid insurance gives me a peace of mind. And even if it was not there, the Gorilla Glass Victors and the IP exit rating also helps. So if these were your main concern, the battery and the battery is pretty average and the durability is fine. But there's one more thing that I actually hate over the battery itself is the Snapdragon 888. So Snapdragon 888 is not the best chip Qualcomm has produced in terms of heat, and the small body cannot handle it. Like literally a few phone calls and day-to-day use will make it warm, and if you accidentally took it into the sun and try to take a picture, it will get really hot. The only good thing is that it doesn't affect the performance as such, but it does get pretty warm, and if it's something that bothers you, don't purchase this phone. Apart from that, I don't really have any complaint with this phone. It is a typical Samsung flagship phone. The build of the phone is really good and it's a beautiful phone. I like keeping it in my hand and it doesn't hurt my hand. I love the matte finish and it makes it easy to use this phone without worrying about fingerprint and scratches. I actually wanted to get the green color, but it didn't come to India and it was not in the matte anyway. But otherwise I really don't have any complaint in the build department. It feels premium. Even if I talk about the feeling when I touch the display, it doesn't make me feel that I'm touching a plastic. Do I wish there was no crease? Absolutely. But does it bother me? Actually, sometimes when I'm using it under a light, otherwise it feels like a normal phone, and which is a good thing. And I'm not even going to talk about the display. It's a typical Samsung flagship display and it is great. So you get 120Hz refresh rate, you get HDR10+, you get brighter display and overall good colors. So I really don't have any complaint there. The only thing might bother you is the tall aspect ratio, but I think you'll get used to it unless you're watching zoomed in on YouTube. But I have some issues with the cover display. I'm glad they have increased the size, but it's not as useful because of the limited features. Yes, I know you can install something that XT developer created so that you can use application on your current screen, but I think Samsung should do something like that because it's not that easy that everyone will be able to do it on this phone. Another issue I had with the cover display is whenever it is in my pocket, it turns automatically on. I mean, it sometimes tries to add widget on the screen and sometimes the clock is automatically on. I don't think there is any sort of sensor that can detect whether your phone is in your pocket or not. Flex mode is also sort of a gimmick because there are rarely any apps that can utilize it. I only have YouTube that can use it. Even I don't use it because I always watch my video in landscape mode. I usually video call using WhatsApp and it doesn't work there as well. And the last thing I want to talk about is the cameras. It is a decent camera setup, but it falls behind many flagship, including the Samsung S21 series. The day quality of camera is good from both wide and ultra wide, but the low light quality where you can see its weakness. If I talk about the front camera, it reminds me of S10, doesn't feel any different than that. So it is a lot of cost cutting in the camera front. But maybe that's how they were able to keep the cost down of this phone. See, I get it, it's a foldable phone, it's a new innovation. I should not compare it with other flagship phones. But this is something I wanted to tell you because there are a lot of compromises and you have to make sure that you're buying a right phone, because you need to decide whether it's worth going for those compromises just for the folding factor. I honestly was very excited about this phone, but somehow this phone is not letting me use this phone as much, so much so that I only charge this phone once a day nowadays. Anyway, if you really want to try a folding phone, I think you can get it. You're not going to regret it as long as you have low expectation from the battery. But I would say this phone is not for everyone, and I don't think it's solving any sort of purpose for a lot of people. Yes, it looks cool. Yeah, the folding factor is great, and a lot of people are going to ask you like, which phone is this? Is it still a folding phone? But yeah, that's it. I guess it's time for me to switch to iPhone 13 mini, and I'm expecting a better battery life than this phone. Also, I have not asked you to subscribe to my channel in a really long time. Don't worry, I'm not gonna ask this time too. My name is Rohit. I'll see you in the next one. Till then.